Hi there, and welcome to this webinar featuring Visit Seattle, the State of Washington Tourism, and the Port of Seattle. This year, something special's happened. This glorious state of Washington has begun representation in Australia and New Zealand and have teamed up with the Port of Seattle and Visit Seattle. And so we are ready to put this wonderful corner of the earth on the map. Where is Washington? Washington is at the very top left-hand corner of the United States. We have Canada, about a 2.5 hour drive to the north. So it's a perfect destination for your clients that are wanting that two-nation vacation. And we have Portland, Oregon, around 3 hours drive to the south. Again, it's just such a great destination to combine with Seattle when you're planning a road trip in the USA. That West Coast drive is outstanding. Now, on this map here, there's a lot of green in Washington. We also have a lot of blue with all our waterways. And there's a lot of other little things, little bottles of wine. I'll talk to you more about that later. The gateway to Washington State, also known as the Pacific Northwest, is Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, which was honoured to be named the best airport in North America in the 2023 World Airport Awards, and rightly so with their new International Arrivals Facility. With stunning views of Mount Rainier and the Olympic Mountain Ranges, and an iconic aerial walkway that spans above an active taxiway, it definitely is one of the most scenic airports in the USA. 32 airlines connect 93 non-stop domestic and 30 international destinations. So there are multiple routes Australian and New Zealand travellers can take to get to Seattle. Passengers can connect to Seattle via LA, San Francisco, Vancouver and Hawaii, and from New Zealand, travellers can also connect in Tahiti with Air Tahiti Nui. They have a non-stop service now from Tahiti to Seattle. If you're not already aware, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport is also owned by the Port of Seattle and is midway through $3 billion worth of projects, a whopping amount. So it's only going to get better from here. The Port of Seattle is the premier gateway for Alaska cruises and operates two world-class downtown cruise terminals at Pier 66 and Pier 91, both with super easy access from the city. There are several reasons that Seattle has become a hub for Alaska cruising. Our natural deep water port accommodates some of the largest cruise vessels in the world. Our award-winning cruise facilities can manage large groups of passengers. The cruise terminals obviously have spectacular settings, and there's really easy access to Seattle Airport. And a quick fun fact for you, Smith Cove was one of the world's first facilities where cruise ships can connect to the city's power grid, meaning they can turn off the engines completely, which greatly reduces air emissions. And the Port of Seattle Commission has also accelerated its emission reduction efforts by 10 years to be net zero or better by 2040. So we really take care of our city, our sea, and our environment. 50% of all Alaska-bound cruises sail out of Seattle's port. And in 2023, we anticipate about 700,000 guests will depart on over 240 voyages via the 7 major cruise lines on 7 to about 11-day round-trip cruises. And cruising to Alaska truly is that bucket list item with a backdrop of Washington State, the forests, the mountains, the sparkling Puget Sound. The choice to sail out of Seattle is a pretty easy one to make. Each year, the season operates from April to October. And as Seattle and the greater Washington State have so much to offer, we really like to encourage passengers to explore all of the iconic sites of the Pacific Northwest before or after their cruise. One unique and outstanding service offered at our ports, and one that you and your clients may not know about, is Port Valet. After a cruise, anyone travelling onwards on most domestic services can use the Port Valet service. This picks up luggage outside the ship's cabin and takes it directly to the airport where it's already been checked through to your next US destination. Your clients can then explore Seattle completely hands-free. So this one-of-a-kind service transforms a home port cruise passenger into an actual visiting tourist for the day. Seattle is known as the Emerald City and got its name simply by the fact that it's surrounded by lush greenery. And the city itself is jam-packed with iconic and unique attractions. Firstly, we have the Space Needle. Built in 1962 for the World's Fair, it's recently had a massive $100 million refurbishment. You can look out over the breathtaking 163-degree views of the city and the Puget Sound, Mount Rainier and the Cascade and Olympic mountain ranges. You can get a drink or a cocktail at the cafe, and if you're brave enough, you can step out onto the Loop, the world's first and only glass rotating platform. It's quite fun, but a little scary at the same time. Founded in 1907, the Pike Place Market is the longest running farmers market in the whole of the USA. There are tons of food, craft and artisan stalls at the market. I highly recommend that you do a food tour with either Show Me Seattle or Eat Seattle tours. This will give you a local knowledge of the area and a lot of history as well. Also, the first ever Starbucks shop opened here at the market in 1971 and is still there to this day. Can get a coffee there and a snack, but be prepared for a bit of a queue. You'll see how popular it is. Chihuly Garden and Glass is a one-of-a-kind art experience that showcases all of the colourful and unique creations by Dale Chihuly. There are 8 galleries, the Centerpiece Glass House, and a wonderful garden full of glass, flowers and trees. It's a must for any art lover. There also is Seattle Art Museum, or SAM, as it's known by locals, which is well worth a visit also. Mopop Museum is full to the brim of music and pop culture memorabilia. It's awesome to see all the props of your favorite cult movies and music memorabilia from all different artists and genres. Jimi Hendrix guitar is here. The guitar that Kurt Cobain smashed on stage is here. There's also a massive R&B section. It's worth a visit for every age. And aviation is a big part of the heritage of Seattle. And to get a real flavour for it, you can head north of Seattle by 30 minutes for the Boeing factory tour. Again, for aviation enthusiasts, just south of downtown is the Museum of Flight. It is the largest independent non-profit air and space museum in the world, and it's home to 175 aircraft and spacecraft. There's millions of rare photos, dozens of exhibitions, and a few experiences as well. So yeah, there's just simply so much to see and do in Seattle. We recommend you advise your clients to get the Seattle City Pass as it offers such great value. The pass is valid for 9 days and provides entrance to must-see Seattle attractions. You could easily do 5 of these attractions over a 2-day or 3-day pre or post cruise itinerary. Alternatively, if 5 attractions are a bit too much, the C3 pass includes one-time admission to 3 attractions, but it also has the Museum of Flight, the Skyview Observatory, and the Seattle Art Museum among its choices. And it's also valid for 9 days. So both pretty good options for your clients to sell. Seattle is a city made up of many diverse neighbourhoods. Pioneer Square was the first official neighbourhood of Seattle. To learn more about the history and the fire that wiped out 30 blocks in 1889 and how the area rebuilt from there, I highly recommend the Bill Speedles Underground Tour or Beneath the Streets Underground History Tour. You can also visit the Klondike Museum to get some history specifically related to the Alaskan Gold Rush. They're really easy to walk to these attractions from any part of the city. And you can get to go underground, as you can see there. It's quite exciting. Alki Beach and West Seattle are where there are just iconic views of the city, basically. You can water taxi from downtown to Alki Beach and stroll for miles or head inland to West Seattle Junction for countless options for lunches and many cocktails. Ballard, where Pier 91 can be found, is home to so many Seattle breweries. Ballard Locks, connecting the freshwater of Lake Union to the Puget Sound, the National Nordic Museum, Fisherman's Terminal. There's commercial fishing vessels, uncruised ships depart from here, and you can actually rent a hot tub boat here. Something exciting and unique to do. Fremont, home to the Fremont Troll, which is way bigger than it looks in this image on the right there. There's also lots of breweries and Gasworks Park. It's a hot Hollywood spot seen in lots of movies and TV. Capitol Hill is the centre of Seattle's LGBTQ+ community. Here you can sign up for some fun with a drag queen show. South Lake Union, which has grown into the tech hub of Seattle, home to Meta, Amazon and Google. You can see these cute little iconic houseboats. Now, Eat Seattle Tours has a great locals perspective of South Lake Union tour, which really highlights the changes in the area over the years. Now, we can't talk about Seattle without mentioning sports. We have every major sporting team: soccer or football, NFL, rugby, baseball. This image is of the Climate Pledge Arena, which is home to the famous Seattle Kraken ice hockey and Storm basketball teams. Sports fans can take a 65-minute guided tour of the arena, which also plays host to multiple concerts and family events throughout the year. We have T-Mobile Park also, and Seattle is proudly one of the host cities for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The games will take place at our Lumen Field. And both of these venues also have tours running for the eager sport supporters. The City of Seattle has been rebuilding Seattle's central waterfront area, and the future waterfront park will span 20 acres along Seattle's downtown shoreline. Right now, there's a bit of construction, but the total project is due for completion by 2024 and will just look fantastic. It'll be a complete transformation. Washington State has 3 wonderful national parks: Mount Rainier, Olympic National Park, and North Cascades National Park. As you can see on this map, all are within close proximity to Seattle and can be accessed as either a day tour or as part of a 2 or 3 day pre or post cruise mini road trip. I'll take you anti-clockwise through Elliott Bay, just west of Seattle, to Olympic National Park first. The Olympic National Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site of around 1 million acres and is best explored via road trip due to its distance from Seattle. And the fabulous things that there is to see and do in this area takes a bit of time. You can drive from Seattle around the main road via Olympia, the state's capital, which is just to the south, or you can go on a car ferry from downtown over to Bainbridge Island and head north from there. And yes, I did geek out a little bit on that ferry. I am a Grey's Anatomy fan, and this is the ferry that Meredith would often be seen on in that show. Olympic National Park is home to incredible landscapes, with the contrast of hot springs and cool mountain lakes. Here you can explore the high mountains of Hurricane Ridge, the beautiful Pacific Coast beaches with rock formations and tide pools, and the lush Hoh rainforest, the only temperate rainforest in the lower 48 states. There's a 720-kilometre loop road that travellers can drive to tour this region, and you'll probably see a few elk herds that call this area home along the way. Heading to the south now and to Mount Rainier National Park, which is only about a 2-hour drive from Seattle. Many people visit this mountain as a day trip to hike and enjoy the views. Mount Rainier is one of America's most notable volcanoes, and in the winter it's covered in well over 100 glaciers. But in the spring and the summer, the alpine meadows come alive in a wonderful, colourful display of wildflowers. It's really quite a magical place to spend some time. Now back up to the northeast of Seattle to Cascades National Park. This is our most remote national park, or what we like to call our less visited gem. With a wilderness area that's twice the size of Yellowstone, this park is full of wildlife with high alpine regions and stunning aqua clear lakes and rivers. It's similar to Olympic in the fact that there's a loop road that goes, you can tour this region. It starts just north of Seattle, and there's actually a dedicated website for this. It's well worth a visit for any of you that have nature and outdoor adventure loving clients. The Cascade Loop is what it's called. Now, I touched on this a little earlier in the presentation, all those little bottles of wine. Washington State is a huge wine producer, second in the US to California, in fact. In Washington State, you can choose from over 1,000 vineyards and tasting rooms. Key areas for wine country are Yakima, the top of these 3 circles you can see on the map here, Tri-Cities, the middle, and Walla Walla, all of which are around a 2-hour, 3-hour, and 4-hour drive respectively from Seattle, or under an hour by plane. There are so many activities in these areas as well. You can float down the Yakima River, go fishing or horse riding, mountain biking or hiking. So much fun to be had, all paired with beautiful farm to fork food, beer and wine. However, your clients are, or if your clients are a little bit time restricted, they don't need to go that far out of Seattle to experience great wine. Just 30 minutes from the city is the town of Woodinville. And in Woodinville, you can choose from over 115 tasting rooms. And just a quick humble brag here about this beautiful town. Walla Walla has been awarded the prestigious title of America's Best Wine Region for the last 3 years in a row, 2020, 2021, and 2022, proving it's a must-see destination for wine lovers. And it's not just wine that's aplenty in Washington. We are also a huge producer of hops. Yes, 75% of the supply for the entire USA comes out of Yakima. So wine is everywhere, but you don't need to go very far for a brilliant craft beer house either. Now, I just wanted to share a few more destinations around the state that are real standouts. Just north of Walla Walla in eastern Washington is Palouse Falls State Park. More than 13,000 years ago during the Ice Age, glaciers scraped their way across the American West, carving deep canyons and rugged landscapes. And these falls are simply spectacular. Spokane is the second largest city in the state and actually one of the fastest growing cities in America. It's a great place to stop if you're road tripping towards Glacier National Park or Yellowstone National Park because it's close to the Idaho border. There's a beautiful river and a waterfall and great restaurants and breweries here. The towns of Winthrop and Twisp, up the north there, are on the Cascade Loop and are beautiful little country towns where you can have cowboy-style dinners in the summer months, ride on horseback to dine under the stars. What a unique experience. Also on the Cascade Loop is the town of Leavenworth, a wonderful little Bavarian-style village, which, due to a derouted railway, needed to reinvent itself back in the 1960s. So now every storefront, whether it's a coffee shop or a hotel or a pub, has a Bavarian storefront. Now this town is amazing to visit at any time of year, but Oktoberfest, as you can imagine, is fantastic. It's a gorgeous little scenic town with a super fun twist for young and old. And lastly, Snoqualmie Falls, about 45 minutes out of Seattle. There's a Salish Lodge where there's accommodation and a great restaurant. Also, tons of hiking trails for all abilities. And images now in a clockwise direction: Palouse Falls, Spokane, Snoqualmie Falls, Leavenworth, and beautiful Winthrop. Washington is called the Evergreen State, but it doesn't mean that we're entirely green. We have an abundance of water, an abundance of islands and waterways to explore, where visitors can safely view pods of resident humpbacks and orca whales. They could go clam digging down the Long Beach Peninsula. There's world-class windsurfing and kite surfing on the Columbia River Gorge down the bottom of the state, and stand-up paddleboarding and kayaking pretty much everywhere. Yeah, so from the Columbia River Gorge in the very south bordering Oregon to the open beaches of the Pacific coast, all the way up to the islands in the northwest. Such a huge area of our state has water views. Now, just north of Seattle, through the Puget Sound, you'll see the circle there. These are the popular and picturesque islands of Whidbey and Camano. And then just a bit further north is the San Juan Islands. Whidbey and Camano Islands are connected to the mainland via a bridge, but you can also take a car ferry. I highly recommend visiting this area if your clients have a car for the day. The scenery is simply stunning, and taking the time 2 or 3 days to tour this area is absolutely beautiful. There are hundreds of islands and rock formations in San Juan County, and they are serviced by 3 ferries. Orcas Island and Lopez Island are the most popular, and they host the vast majority of accommodation and dining options and tourism activities. The area is known for their orca whales and breathtaking beaches. You can do biking tours or kayak, or do whale watching tours, or just explore the seacoast towns and learn about their maritime heritage. Also, on these islands, you can get as fresh as you can get seafood. It's absolutely superb. Exploring northwestern Washington's islands and waterways is really easy with the ferry system. You can easily plan a 3 or 4 day or even more itinerary to take in some beautiful waterfront towns and majestic scenery. We've actually got pre and post cruise itineraries that have been developed, so you can contact me if your clients want to see more of this beautiful state. Seattle and Washington are widely acclaimed for diversity, being culinary, geographically, or culturally. Washington is home to 29 federally recognized native tribes, and There are so many native-focused museums that visitors can tour that provide tangible connections to Washington's earliest people and stories. Seattle's festival calendar is completely full, not to mention all the events that are going on in and around the state. Whether it be Tulip Festival or a boat show or a food and wine or film festival, there's always something going on. You can check with us as to what events are going on or on the Seattle website also. Music. Music is such a huge part of Seattle's culture. The birthplace of grunge has also been the starting point for some of the world's most iconic musicians and bands. Jimi Hendrix, Pearl Jam, Nirvana and Foo Fighters, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, Quincy Jones and Ray Charles, and this fellow on the screen. You'll get $1 if you already know who it is. He was born and bred in Washington. It's Sir Mix-a-Lot. I like big butts and I cannot lie. There's a little fact in there for you, and it's a fun one. There are a number of short and long stay itineraries that have been developed by various inbound specialists. Links to these can be found on our Seattle, Washington agent resources page on the Link Tourism website. And if you're a CLIA member, the Port of Seattle training module in the CLIA Members Hub is available. And by doing it, you'll also get 5 credit points from CLIA. So just to recap, we have iconic city attractions, world-class airports and cruise terminals, spectacular national parks, romantic bays and inlets, hundreds of islands, the best whale watching on the planet for orcas, and of course, a beautiful Pacific coastline. It's the fabulously produced chocolates and farm-to-fork food and about 1,000 wineries that make the state amazing. 75% of the supply of the USA's hops for craft beer industry is big, and I didn't even touch on skiing. If you have anyone going in the winter, our ski fields, which are dotted around the state, and a lot of them in close proximity to Seattle, are absolutely fantastic, with runs from beginner to black diamond and everything in between. Anytime you need information, promotional ideas or support, copy, videos or images, please reach out. And when you're next selling an Alaska cruise, just remember the option of seeing the beautiful city of Seattle and all the bucket list experiences in Washington State. Thanks for taking the time to listen today. I hope that we get to chat or meet in person sometime soon. Have a great day.